Hi guys, Carcer back again with yet more Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2. Just taking advantage of the fact that there's a lot more players on at the moment. I guess thanks to this big beefy sale that's been on in Steam. So yeah, might as well make the most of it. So first up, we're going straight into a game against Archaist, who you may remember from the last video. This time he is going to be bringing a Space Marine fleet. Just having a look around the map. We've got a nice cluster of 3 points down near to my deployment zone, which is good, just in case he decides to bring some kind of stealthy light cruiser fleet. We've got a nice point, I can just capture them all and defend from here. Not that you really see the light cruiser Space Marines much anymore. There used to be one guy who used to be annoying as fuck with them back when light cruisers captured, well, back when all the ships captured at the same speed. But those days are long gone. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scoot on up the left hand side of the map, hopefully remain undetected, and then just have all my escorts rush up and capture these points. So what have we got? Single escort and 2 battle barges. So we should have something else. I'm not quite sure what though. Oh shit. Okay, so my flagship tried to make a bid for freedom there. Didn't really quite see what happened. But he's coming back into the fold, we're back on track. Still cruising on the left hand side of the map. The fleet, as you may have noticed, is just my standard Blood Axe fleet, mixture of hammers and terrors, along with 7 onslaughts for the Jesus. Yeah, sorry, 7 onslaughts for the escort slots, which is just generally the most useful escort configuration I find. I was kind of toying with some brute ram fleets, but ultimately, for all the damage they can do with a ram, which is good, they kind of take too much damage in return, so they're usually just like a one and done kind of thing. And like 32 points is pretty expensive, especially since there's no guarantee you're going to land your hit anyway. I mean, most of the fleets you're going to be going up against have got some way of mitigating the damage from brutes anyway, either through dodging or just having high armor and high mass. So while it is very satisfying and fun to get a big meaty hit off on an Eldar, it's very seldom you actually get to do that. So we're just going to get a nice clump of escorts together to deal with whatever is capping that. Presumably it's just that, just the single escort that we spotted earlier. There's definitely something else over there on the right hand side, whether that's more escorts or light cruiser remains to be seen. So got a couple of bombers coming out from the battle barges. Although we did manage to chase off the escort from the capture point, so that's still just neutral, and I am still capping the left hand point. Battle barges are now cruising over towards my main fleet, which is great, which still hasn't been spotted. I do have them on hold fire, so we should get a jump, and the enemy flagship is nearby as well, which is great. So while they're distracted with my escorts, we're just going to start creeping in closer. For my abilities, I've taken the stasis bomb tractor cannon, pretty standard stuff. It's great against the Space Marine strike cruisers if we need to catch them, because they are quite nippy. So we're just going to start off with some boarding actions. It's kind of unfortunate we're taking the debris field there was blocking some of my shots as I was coming in. But we're on top of them now, and it's got a nice amount of boarding actions off. So that's going to drop them down into yellow crew for sure. Maybe even red if I get lucky with the crits. Because even with all the meteoric firepower, Space Marine ships, I mean, they don't take a massive amount of damage because they do have that high armor, and it's quite difficult to get crits on them, especially the battleships, which have the higher crit resistance. With all the ships, I've got the generators targeted, which I'll just keep those shields down because it can take quite a while to get through the battle barge shields. Looks like, yep, the generators are down on both of the enemy ships now, so we just need to worry about the HP. We do have an, there we go, so there's the enemy light cruiser. He's just nibbling around the edges there. Luckily they've got virtually no firepower, so. And yeah, I think this is basically going to be it for this fight, to be honest. Enemy flag's about to go down in a couple of seconds. They did try and get some boarding actions off on my own flagship, but I was able to pop myself into call to arms stance. My deck did get destroyed though, so unfortunately the flagship is now mutinied. But go now, 13 boarding actions off, so that'll get him down to yellow again, just in case he tries to get away. And the enemy light cruiser is gamely trying to do something. I guess he's trying to just ram down my my flagship to cause a mass mutiny on the rest of the ships. Though as he's doing that, he's getting peppered down by the side guns. I'm trying to keep all the mega cannons just on the battle barge. And there goes the flagship. I do still have decks up on the rest of the show. I did have decks up on the ships there. So just a little bit more of this grinding, and boom, enemy battle barge is dead. Which just leaves this little guy. And down he goes. So there wasn't really much to that. To be honest, the stealth, I don't know how much it really helped me out. I mean, the Space Marine fleet that he took, it was 2 battle barges, which both had the the torpedo variant. But with the amount of aircraft I had, I mean, I probably would be able, even if he had seen me coming from far away, I would have been able to shoot it all down anyway. Like, even if he had screened with fighters, I still would have had way more fighters available to take down their fighters, plus any bombers and boarding torpedoes they'd launched. So it might have taken a bit longer, but nah. Okay, so changing things up slightly for this match, I have gone for a slightly different version of my Evil Sun's fleet. So normally I would have taken 3 battleships plus 2 either cruisers or light cruisers, or a mix of the two, and then I think 6 or 7 escorts. For this fleet though, I've decided to up the amount of cruisers and battle cruisers. So basically I've got 2 battleship Ords Garg Dakas, it's the mega cannon variant. Then with that, I've got 2 cruisers, two terror cruisers, 2 hammers, and so that gives me a nice amount of hangar bays to play with. So between the ships, I've got 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 separate fighter squadrons that can be launched. And that's a good thing because I am going up against the Tau Protector fleet, and it's Warhawk 57, who is a very good Tau Protector fleet player. He's one of the top ranked guys, I believe. So I've played him a few times in the past. No idea what kind of fleet he's going for, but I guess we'll find out. So I'm just immediately starting off and brace for impact because, you know, just anticipating that there's going to be a storm of seeker missiles and manta bombers and etc. going for me. So I may as well just keep on it now. To this point I noticed that we're dealing with some pretty horrific lag, which seems to get worse and worse as the match goes on. Doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it. But yeah, if you do start seeing some unusual things happening, that's why. So again, we've gotten quite lucky in the map. We've got a reasonably good cluster of 3 points down in the bottom right.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
So it looks like most of the fighting is going to take place across the 3 points that are running like a belt across like the kind of halfway line of the map. It looks like the enemy's making a rush for them with 1, 2, 3, 4. So I guess those are just the Tau cruisers. Yeah. Well, we'll see what colour the contrails are on the other two. It's at least 1 Tau cruiser. The others may be Demiurge, but we will see. Although that being said, if they were Demiurge, he probably would have like parked his arse in one of those asteroid belts. Yeah, no, they're just Tau cruisers. So just gonna piece on out here. There we go. Luckily, managed to get away despite the lag. So yeah, you're seeing it's starting to get pretty jerky, pretty laggy at the moment. So yeah, luckily we are able to take down those Tau, no problem. Those manta bombers even, no problems there. Haven't had to launch any of our own fighters yet.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
So yeah, I'm quite liking this this fleet configuration. Actually, it's more of a balanced fleet than the triple battleship with 2 cruiser fleet I had before. I'm kind of tempted to drop one of the hammers for a just for more escorts, because to make this fit, because this is exactly 1200 points, I've had to use some of the shitty Orc Ravager escorts, which are the ones with torpedoes. They've got shit guns. Orc torpedoes aren't the best, really, like especially if we only get 2. Right, so we do have a bunch of seeker missiles coming in, and unprotected manta bombers as well, so we'll just wipe all those out, no problem there. Thought you would maybe recall his bombers, but no. You just prefer they die. Works for me. So I seem to be able to re-stealth myself in this asteroid field as well. Although, no, he must have, yeah, he's starting to shoot at me now. Oh no, my battleships. I should have stopped my battleships. Not that it matters. I mean, the firepower of these Tau ships isn't particularly great anyway, and he is firing into my frontal armour. So we've also got a custodian over there to the left, just behind this gas cloud. So yeah, we'll definitely go and try and catch him. With the Evil Suns and red button upgrades, it shouldn't have too much of a problem chasing down this custodian. So he's dropping a disruption bomb. Again, I'm not hugely fussed about that. Got some more seeker missiles coming in. Should be able to take those out. Don't know who's going to make it in time. Gonna try and boost out of this. Okay, I do take a few seeker hits, but luckily I take it on the second line ship, which did have brace for impact still active. I had actually dropped it on the front ship that those missiles were going for. I don't know what the hell happened to my fighters. Did they get destroyed, or are they still just sitting on the flagship? Doesn't matter. Okay, and we've caught ourselves a custodian. Good stuff. Or have we? Yes, we have. So I fired off some panic seeker missiles there, which... yeah, he lands a couple of them. But I think the fighters did take care of most of them. I think maybe one or two of those hit. But unfortunately that's going to be all she wrote for the custodian. Probably should have backed that out of there quite a bit earlier. So it's another wave of Manta bombers and seeker missiles coming in, which is the third and final wave for those cruisers, which means they're functionally useless now. I mean, they can sit and fire away with their pea shooters, but it's not going to do a whole hell of a lot, to be honest. So now it's just a case of chasing them down. That's the thing. I mean, yeah, like the Tau ships, they're really good if they can land their ordnance. But I mean, very little of the Tau ordnance that they fired actually. I mean, from what I saw, like maybe there was like what one Manta bomber and like maybe like 2 or 3 seeker missiles in total that actually landed. So you need to be canny. Like I think Warhawk, he didn't do a very good job of screening properly, using, you know, timing it so that his fighters were landing around about the same time as the missiles. Because you could, even though I had that fighter cover, I didn't have so much that he couldn't really be able to overwhelm it with his fighters and just get those seeker missiles through. So we do unfortunately have a mutiny. And with the 270-degree frontal arc that the Tau ships have, then they can still fire off, like, you know, bulk of their weapons while running. So they're kind of falling victim to the lag a little bit now, but there we go. We've still got plenty of big beefy boys to deal with these Taus. I mean, the battleships are still virtually full health as well. I managed to rally one of the battle cruisers there, and the flagship should be in range soon, just to fire off the stasis and tractor. Yep, especially if the enemy does that. I mean, when you are trying to kite orcs, you need to be very aware of that tractor and stasis. And you've got, well, the tractor is more or less an auto include for most for fighting against most factions with orcs. Alright, let's see if we can get a nice pile up here. Yeah, that was fine. Get laggy up to ping time of 255 milliseconds. Not great. But somehow we've managed to do it, so that's fine. It's cool. I'm starting to see custodians a lot more now, so seemed like I went for ages without seeing a single custodian, but people seem to be bringing them again now. Oh, it looks good to see my ship's back in red again. A red battleship. I quite like it. Slice o' life. Battleship, sea cruiser, light cruiser. Niskar Dao. Wow, you don't see many of them. I actually tried making a kind of Niskar Dao based fleet, you know, with a bunch of light cruisers and then just as many Niskars as I could fit. Thinking that they would be quite a decent escort, but they were absolute trash. They just, yeah, I mean, like, they just didn't seem to, like, output as much firepower as was advertised at all. Plus the side arc's kind of awkward for an escort as well. Although at least you can circle with them. But then that kind of runs into other problems as well. But anyway, enough about them. So, third and final match for this video. We're playing against some dude who is going to be flying the Dark Eldar. Map's not as bad as it could be. It's not ideal. I don't really have a nice cluster of points to hold on to if it turns into one of those games. But they're not completely spread out around the map either. So I'd say those three on the left hand side there is probably my best bet. So we are going to go for them. Once again, I'm rocking the battleship plus cruiser battlecruiser fleet. Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly wishing I had a few more escorts now that we know we're fighting against the Dark Eldar. But what I'm going to do is take a beacon and just forego the stasis bomb for now. So we just have to be a little bit more canny trying to catch the enemy ships. We're not going to be able to stasis them in place. I'm just going to have to hope we can bounce on them a bit better if the enemy decides he's going to fight me. So starting off this match in reload stance, because I just want to get up the map as quickly as possible. I am aware, of course, that there's a possibility this is going to be an Impaler fleet, which is fine. But I've got fighter craft available, so I can just I can hopefully shield my ships from the worst of it. I have boosted my fleet obviously as well, as you saw at the start of the game there, so the enemy will be aware exactly where my flagship is. Tried to get a venom bomb off there, but it's going to avoid that. Venom bomb, of course, has unlimited charges, so it's not really a big waste. Just a case of waiting for the cooldown. Just going to try and move my battleships up, but I don't want to get them too far separated from the cruisers just yet, because I want the battleship's firepower to support the cruisers, and I want the cruisers' aircraft to support the battleships. So I'm just going to fire off a beacon to cover my arse at the moment. Just make sure that I'm not going to get anything coming from that direction while I go and capture this point up here. I'm just going to hang fire with the battleships at the moment. Just take advantage of the fact that the enemy currently doesn't know exactly what my orientation is. He is sending some fighters out, so that's good. Now we know roughly where one of his ships is.
Okay, we'll go that speed.
Got another blip there just over to the left. I believe that's an escort though. Yeah. I'm not really going to be playing the stealth game, so I'm not hugely fussed about the escort, to be honest. Okay, so we rush in there. I'm going to capture this point. Enemy is slightly ahead on points, but not by much. Starting to take a little bit of fire on one of my lagging escorts. I was going to boost him up with the rest of the pack. He does have fighters on him as well.
You have seized a strategic area.
Not totally clear why the enemy's left them on there. I think he has recalled them now. Yeah. Okay, now we get the enemy flagship. He's decided to come in for a little bit of
The
cap
enemy is
action.
seizing one of your strategic areas.
Okay, we're just going to boost in there and see if we can grab him. Unfortunately not, but we do have a taker in this other battleship, so I'm happy enough to get him. And then the cruisers can go after the flagship. And he has burnt his boost, so although I don't have anything to snare him with, I should be able to keep him spotted with my craft. And unfortunately, it does mean that I've left myself open to a couple of impaler squadrons, which is kind of a bummer, but we are likely going to get a kill on one of these battleships. And for the moment, at least, it's not the flag, which is taking the boarding. Thinking 22 dark, that's probably going to be enough to kill his entire crew, but I want to leave him in lock-on for the moment, just until I get this Stark Eldar ship taken down. Okay, we're doing some nice damage on the enemy flagship as well, so he's triple, that's probably down to about a quarter of his HP. Just going to keep the fighter squadrons out, just keep them spotted. And the engine has been targeted on one of my battleships there, which is to be expected. Yeah, I'd say with Dark Eldar, engines should pretty much always be a priority. Although, yeah, you could make an argument for, well, you know, as always with orcs, taking out the decks. I mean, both the decks and the engines are fantastic things to get rid of. Although, because I do have the flagship there, then deck's probably not quite so important, because I'll just be able to rally him. So we're just going to re-blip my ships here in this little gas cloud. And there goes the crew. In retrospect, probably should have actually put him into... God, look at all the weapon crits he's taken, that's crazy. Although it looks like most, yeah, all the weapon crits are just yellow damage, so it's not a huge deal. Right, going to boost in, should be able to grab the enemy ship, no problem. Do take some impalers, unfortunately, but once again, I'm just going to stay in lock on until we give it more damage to the ship. Ooh, it's a bad time to be that escort. Okay, so the escort goes down. I did manage to recruit my secondary battleship there. I'm just going to use the scanner pulse to keep him spotted. Ah, damn it. That's a shame. So I did actually lose the engine there just about 1 second before I was going to get the big red button back up online. So that's a pity. It's strange how, yeah, they went straight to red crit damage, both the engines. because they weren't yellow first, they just went straight from undamaged to red crit. Is that normally how it works when you drop a crew step? I thought you just took like crits as normal, so it should start off yellow, right?
You got it, boss.
No matter.
Seizing one of your
Enemy flag has revealed himself, so he's sitting over at the bottom left, 3 points.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
There is still another enemy ship down here as well, somewhere. So I don't want to split up too much yet, but I'm just thinking actually, since I mean both of them are pretty well crippled.
The fight is over here.
I'm probably going to lose at least 2 of the capture points over on the left hand side while I'm dealing with stuff over here, but that's fine.
Box is best.
Although I do have damaged engines on both my battleships now, which makes them kind of sad, limping sacks.
You got it.
The enemy does have to bear in mind that I still have the tractor cannon available,
Sighted.
so he's not going to want to get too close
The enemy
with
has
the low HP that his ships are on at present.
The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas.
It's going to send out some speculative fighters.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Hit a red button.
Ah man, orc ships are so slow. It does make this kind of game kind of painful. Oh, here he is.
Move that junk.
Some bombers. What you gonna do?
Fire bombers.
I know. Guess I'll do a little bit of damage. Oh no, it was strikecraft. Okay.
You have seized a strategic area. The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas. You have seized
Oh, I
a
thought those were
strategic
bombers.
area. The enemy has seized a strategic area.
You ain't a boss of me.
So what about even Stevens in the points? Enemy does have 3 capture points to my 2, but okay. So I've got a mutiny on the flagship. But I do have call to arms available. So or rally available even. So I'm just gonna let that cruise down for a little while longer on mutiny stance. Just make the enemy think that that's him broken now. Because hopefully that'll bait him into coming and trying to attack my cruiser down here. If he thinks he's going to be all on his own, and then I'll be able to pop the rally on the flagship and then hopefully catch him with the tractor cannon, which would be nice. Still got plenty of HP left on the flagship,
Faster, you grunts.
and also 6 crew.
Full speed. Wings ready. Hit the red button. What you want? Hit the red button. Horse is best.
So now it's just a case of trying to hold on to 3 points. Okay, he's getting a little bit close to the edge now. Ah, there we go. There's the enemy remaining battleship. So keep him spotted. See if you can get.
One of your strategic areas.
No, okay, just decaps.
You got it. Enemy ship sighted.
I should really just, once I get the 3 captures, just park a ship on each.
You got it, boss. Yeah.
I've really been keeping track of how many impalers and or strikecraft have been coming out. He must still be sitting on a few. Because I think so at least one or two of the battleships were just the standard carrier variant, and then one's the Impaler variant. I think I've got the Impaler variant taken out.
You got it.
You have seized a strategic area.
But unsure. So we're all spread out now. We've got one battleship limping down to that final point in the bottom left. Oh, the enemy's getting brave.
Enemy ship sighted.
How the hell did he manage to launch fighters and impalers? Oh no, did he have two ships there? Ah, right, okay, he had both of his ships over here, I see.
That junk. Enemy ship sighted. You got it, boss.
Ah, I didn't quite make contact there. It's unfortunate. Right, I'll just drop a boarding action off on him. With the Dark Eldar, usually like to just target decks. Just keeps them out of stance. They don't have super great morale either, so sometimes you can get them to run away, which speeds things up a little bit.
75% of strategic points.
And the crippled battleship has just about reached that final point now, so once he does get there, he will of course take it very quickly.
Enemy ship sighted.
And I've still got my flagship over here to deal with this boy. I'll just farm a beacon, try and keep him spotted.
Enemy is seizing
And I've got another ship behind him in case he decides to boost that way. Though I suspect he will try it. Oh no, he's heading
The
back.
enemy has accumulated 75%
Yeah, no.
of strategic points.
Oh, I've caught him in the mega cannon sandwich.
Wings ready. You want us over there?
Fighters should be able to keep him spotted at this point. We've got a third ship coming from the north to try and pin him in. Okay, did get one boarding action off on the flag, but I was able to call to arms so it didn't actually kill off all the crew. Not that it's a huge deal anyway, because I've got another. Okay, yeah, there we go. But I've got, like, say, these ships here, which will be able to recrew anyway. We are in a couple of seconds going to be sitting on all 5 points. We've got a 300-point lead,
You have seized a
so I
strategic
think that's
area.
probably that.
Hit the red button.
Just got a few venom bombs going off, just out of spite at this point, you got to assume. And some strike craft.
Enemy
Or are they
ship
bombers? They were
You are
strike
close
craft.
to victory by strategic points.
Oxy's best. Full speed.
So he's making a run in a last-ditch attempts to take some points, but got some escorts still alive over here. Amazingly, one escort's died in this whole match. I mean, you would have thought, Jesus Christ, Dark Eldar, that's usually like priority number one is to take out all the escorts immediately. But he's been largely ignoring them, which is kind of strange. But that's us creeping up to 2699. A couple of seconds. So yeah, I would say it was kind of a fun match to play. Apologies if it wasn't a particularly fun match to watch, as these cat and mouse Dark Eldar ones usually aren't. But hey ho. So you can have a quick look at his fleet. Slaver, Iron Thorn, and 2 Dying Suns. So yeah, I think the Iron Thorn, I think that's the Impaler, and the Dying Suns are the carriers. I'm pretty sure. And a couple of frigates. Right, well, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, and come play 2v2, because that's back alive now. Please, thank you.